All right, that's a wrap on the first season of Peacemaker, and they have announced that yes, there will be a second season. So this show has been pretty damn good. Just for raucous entertainment, it delivers in so many ways. And going back and forth between this and Boba Fett, Peacemaker kicks the living shit out of Boba Fett. And Boba Fett never stood a chance. I know it had 2 good Mandalorian episodes, and Luke was there. Yeah, but that's a whole other story. Peacemaker maintained some consistency for itself. I thought it got off kind of slow and a little weak, but so what? It made up for it. So there we go. Yeah, a satisfying end to the series than the only way it could have. It was very predictable, but it doesn't matter. The charm and performances are all really good, and the setup for just over the top, really disgusting humor. It was just the nature of this wild show. So now I get into spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, then I guess this is it. It's still a recommend, even though there's a huge flaw, especially in this episode, that damn near derailed it for me. And I am very upset about it. So anyway, here we go. So it's pretty much all over. They got to get rid of the space cow that you saw in last episode, and that's just what they're going to do. They come up with a plan. Eagle Eye once again steals the show, even though he kind of leaves the scene for a while, because so they got the bag of helmets that Peacemaker has, and each one has a different weapon, and so the sonic boom one is the best one they've got. So they want to use it to destroy the barn that the cow is hiding under. And so the idea, they had a helmet that can float and fly. And they say, oh boy, but then Leota accidentally activates it so it floats away. So they decide to use Eagle Eye to carry the sonic boom helmet over to the barn. And he almost does, but then he just flies away and drops it into the woods. So they have to find it. And they do, and they end up sending, what's his name, the bearded guy, over there. And there's a lot of funny scenes with him doing that. And ultimately, it ends up working, and they're able to send the signal through a walkie-talkie within the helmet. And apparently it has about 3 good shots in it, and the 4th one's just kind of, but it manages to destroy just about everything they've got. And Peacemaker's got to go finish off the cow. So the rest of the gang goes in. They have a big shootout. There's just gory and bloody, heads flying everywhere, stuff like that. Peacemaker ends up getting buried under some rubble. Leota ends up having to go in there, put on a helmet. It turns out to be one called the human torpedo. When you activate it, it just sends you flying into something, so you butt something with your head. But even Peacemaker realizes that's the stupidest of the helmets. But that's the one she's got. And one of the leader of the butterflies catches Peacemaker and fights with him. And then Leota takes her out with the helmet. Or no, tries to take her out, but ends up missing her and smashes into the wall. But then we get the woke speech. So all of a sudden, the leader decides to try to convince Peacemaker to join her side. And she says, look, we left our planet because it became uninhabitable. And I immediately knew where this was going. So they come to our planet and they figure out they can live here at least for 100 years. So they figure out what else to do with the cow to feed them. But, oh no, human beings are making the same mistakes we made. Can you imagine what it is? Yes, they didn't pay attention to climate change. And because they're selfish people and follow idiot populist leaders who convince them that even the slightest inconvenience to their freedom, it's not worth it. It's like, after everything we've been through in these past 2 years, you really believe that? I mean, that's just the stupidity of James Gunn. and whatever MSNBC activists they got to come in and write that dialogue. Just so bereft of reality and something like that. To just throw that in there, and especially after so many dead over this foolishness, and to think that's, yeah, it just, all it does is expose the ignorance and idiocy of people like Mr. Gunn, who should just stick to his fart jokes, because you're good at that. You know, that's when you're funny. When you do stuff like this, the worst thing you want to do is kick your audience out of the film or show. And that's what this does. I mean, now, Peacemaker's response to this, well, he kills her and any other guy and kills the cow. So, but he manages to rescue Harcourt. She's badly wounded, and Vigilante's badly wounded. So they go to the hospital, and they get patched up and everything. But then he's talking to Leota and think, did you hear what she said? And Leota said, yeah. So you think I just condemned the world to doom? And then she said, maybe, or maybe we should just figure it out for ourselves and not have to listen to bug overlords. So you're like, oh, okay. But then she goes on, or maybe you're still stuck in your, how did he put it, proto-fascist libertarianism. You see, and someone like James Gunn doesn't understand how that exposes him for a complete moron. Stick to what you know, because you don't know that. You don't understand those two terms. You don't understand why that's a very stupid thing to say. No, he doesn't. So if you can get past that, great show. You even get special guest stars. So this is in the DCEU. So you want to, whoa, damn it, where's the other superheroes and stuff? They didn't show up in Suicide Squad, but they show up here. The Justice League arrives. Now, granted, it's really only two of them, but Batman doesn't show up. But Superman and Wonder Woman are there, but they're kept in shadow, so you can't see that it's just, body doubles. But the Flash and Aquaman are also there, and it's Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller. It's a brief scene. They show up at the end of the battle, and Peacemaker says, you're late, calls Aquaman a dumb fish fucker, and walks off. And then Aquaman, man, I'm so sick of that rumor. And then the Flash, is it a rumor? So it's a funny little scene, and that's it. That's it. But still, pretty good little thing they did. And to pretty much confirm the connectivity of the position this takes place within their very fragile DCEU that's about to be apparently ripped to shreds once again by the Flash movie. We'll see, but So anyway, that was a cool little extra thing there. And one of the things they set up for it, I didn't read the article yet. I'll look at that. There was one about that James Gunn and John Cena said they didn't do any research on the comic books and everything, and people are upset about that. Well, somebody did, because even though it's rearranged, it is within at least the DC Comics version that in the DC Comics version, the Peacemaker was the son of a Nazi war criminal. In this one, considering the time and his age and everything, he'd be way too old to have had a father that was in World War II and all that. So his father here is this white supremacist character. There is a character called White Dragon in DC Comics. I don't know if the two have ever crossed paths, but here melded it together to where that's Peacemaker's father, and he was this evil bastard who is deep in his head and is still there even though he's dead. So in the Peacemaker comic, the Nazi war criminal dad killed himself when he was about to be exposed, but his presence in Peacemaker's broken mind still talks to him. And so I think they're going to continue with that. And I guess Robert Patrick will be there for season 2 as well, playing the ghost of his father. So Eagly, thank God, survived and pretty much ends the show. where Peacemaker is back in his trailer park. Leota reveals the whole Suicide Squad and everything goes public with it, so I'm wondering how they'll figure out how to deal with that. Knowing how things operate, they don't have a clue yet, but they'll have to come up with something that makes that work. But despite the awful woke speech that was put into it, everything's got to have a flaw. But all in all, pretty good series. So that's it for Peacemaker. We'll see what they do for season 2 and in other projects for the DCEU. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.